This is episode 1 of, I don't even know what we're calling it yet.
No idea.
Politicrap.
Politicrap. I like it, actually. Actually, that's funny because you and I were, when we first talked about this, going back and forth about what are we going to call it. I actually like, I don't know, perhaps I'm being too snarky, but I like politicrap. I think it's funny.
Yeah. Well, you know, we view everything through the lens of colonization, and, you know, part of the Western colonization is everyone's at odds with each other.
Yep.
It's not about making peace, and it's not about justice, and it's not about the harmony of society. It's none of that. It's like, it's about winning and punishing and shaming and escalation. And in my own forays into the legal world, I've noticed everything is about escalation. Who escalates first and hardest and most, and who's willing to be dirtier and lie more, and like they like tend to prosper.
Yes. And
that's my take on it. And everything's a secret. That's the other part. It's all secret. You're not supposed to talk about this. You're not supposed to talk about that. This court is closed. I have illegal recordings of court because it's on Zoom.
I've done it before. I mean, for me working in the tribal court for 5 years, like, I saw stuff from the inside. So when you speak about how the justice system works, I see the flaws in it. Mm-hmm. I still want to be a lawyer, but I want to do that because I'm a crusader. I've been told that multiple times. I'm a crusader. I can be self-righteous. I understand that, but it's about justice to me. Mm-hmm. Equal justice, even if it's not under our law. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we end up having to fight these battles outside of our own internal systems anyway. So to make that fair, to have that actual true justice, like, that's important to me. Mm-hmm. Because I can't stand to see people get fucked over when that's not the way that it should go, nor is it, in my view, the way that it was intended to be. Mm-hmm. It's like, so and you're right. You lie more, you get further. You yell the loudest, you get farther. And that's, to me, that's not the right way to do it. Because you and I look at it from, we look at it from the lens of Gaina Lagoa. Mm-hmm. So when you look at it like that, the purpose, at least from what I've been taught and my understanding and my interpretation of it, is that it's supposed to be that you go into it already with the mindset you want to reach peace, you want to reach consensus. Mm-hmm. That's what I was taught. But because of the colonization, it is about winning. Mm-hmm. So it's not about going in there with an open mind. You want to discuss these things and you want to get to a good resolution where, you come in at odds, but you can walk out of there with a compromise between everybody that you all agree on.
Right.
We don't do that.
No.
It's not like that.
No, and on top of it, it's going in with the mindset, like the system should be able to handle that humans are human and humans are corruptible, and built around that, and not built around that like, oh, we need to be perfect, and built around creating more harmony, not less.
Yes.
So to me, there's really just re-implementing the Western systems and just slapping a new name on it and tweaking it a little bit isn't good enough. In fact, we're just colonizing ourselves more because now we think it's ours. Just like they think, I've heard people call it our cops. Mm-hmm. No. Who signs that paycheck?
Yeah.
And what legal system are they enforcing? With guns, with crime, with cage, with threat.
Yeah.
Right.
And to me, like, when we get to the stuff about the police, I worked with the tribal police, in the same building for 5 years. And, I used to be a knucklehead and, fuck the police and all that. And as I got older, I realized that was a stupid way to look at things, but I was a dumb kid. I also see, I can actually look at it, take a step back and view it objectively. Mm-hmm. So, I'm not going to say we shouldn't have police, because we do need somebody there for when you're in trouble, you can call on somebody. Mm-hmm. But they are enforcing New York law. You know, I mean, they are. And the thing is that in my ideal world, we're looking at us utilizing, our old ways to essentially monitor ourselves. And, there's no reason why we can't do that. There's no reason that we can't do that. We just don't do that. And I think part of that is the colonization, because the people feel safer for some reason, or they think it's completely unsafe if you want to step outside of that mode. Like you don't want to use, like you and I saying, let's try a different way of doing it. There's a lot of people in
yeah, God, motherfucker.
There's a lot of people in Akwesasne who would say, well, you guys are completely off your rocker and we're going to be completely unsafe without that. Well, I don't think that it's that way, but you need to have a plan.
Yeah.
And you and I have talked about these sorts of things before. It's not like I want to snap my fingers and say, you're gone.
Yeah.
It's not that. Like, I know that I'm cognizant of how idiotic that would be. You got to have a plan, but there are different ways to do these things. It would be, I think, more beneficial to the people.
Right.
More, having our own people, be more along the lines of a peacekeeper. You know what I mean? And, but these are bigger discussions that need to be had with the entire community.
Well, yeah.
And but I think that you and I saw from when we ran, when we both were running for chief, was that there's a certain point you get to where, because there's not as much engagement within the community as we would like to see, you get that block of people who, that 350 to 400 people who are consistently supportive of the SRMT, and the people who are on the inside of that system, they have no interest in looking at something different.
Yeah.
And we can't get more people engaged
It's just like
who think the way that we do.
And it's just like the U.S. government. There's
Absolutely.
Everyone knows a two-party system is a problem.
Exactly.
There's no one in power's interest to change things.
No.
And it's the same. And it's the same with the policing. It's not only and the justice system and most of our institutions it's a downward slide. It's not. We were in a better place 40 years ago.
I agree.
We were in a stronger place 40 years ago. Sovereignty. There were Catholics who would burn things in the name of sovereignty. You don't see that too much anymore.
No.
So,
and I don't think that there's, it's like, to me, I watch our community and, it's like, I guess sometimes it seems it's a conundrum, right? Like, we have so many people who speak about sovereignty, but, that right there is a European concept anyway.
Yeah.
So, and I don't necessarily have a problem with using that word because it's the closest correlation that we can make to where we need to be.
Yeah.
But the idea is to become self-sufficient. That's what you and I were talking about during the campaign. You and I have had this discussion many times. That's where we want to get to.
Yeah.
But you're, so you come up on these confounding situations and, it's like there's so many contradictions in our community, and that's okay. But I think a lot of it is because we're confused. And I know a lot of people have said that, and at this point it sounds cliched, but it's true, because are you going to buy into their system completely and then bitch about it when you had an opportunity to get involved and do something different, and instead of doing that, you're just going to point out problems.
Yeah. Confused or corrupt. I mean, some people straight up benefit.
Yeah.
Like you could play the system and straight up benefit off all of this stuff. And a good deal of people do.
Yes.
And I can't legislate morality.
No.
That's, I've been studying, I'd like to check out different cultures. I like Japan. I understand fascism might be a problem there, but, the orderliness, the sense of shame around littering, around fucking up your community, even around like jaywalking. Like they'll follow signs. They're very rule-based people. A little much.
Yeah. I mean,
but the benefit
Yeah.
The benefit of that.
And that's the thing, like the greater good, right?
The benefit of it is no one's getting robbed.
Yeah.
And no one's, their violent crime is very low. Property crime is very low.
Mm-hmm.
There's no litter in the streets. Things are pretty clean. They get to have nice vending machines because nobody breaks them. Nobody paints on them. They don't have to have defeating mechanisms.
Yeah, and we tend to have a lot of those. Like I always say, and I don't know, it probably upsets people, but Akwesasne is a microcosm of the U.S.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think was, 100 years ago was, I guess you can go back to when the three chief system was implemented, was, thrust upon us, the majority of the people unwillingly. But over the years, that insidiousness has penetrated fully into a large section of our community. How do we get out of it, right? But is there even that willingness to get out of it?
Yeah.
And I like to, I've watched stuff about, how modern Japanese society works. And to me, yeah, there is some of it that could be a lot much. But their culture is completely different from ours, and like, as much as people will not like me for saying this, even in Akwesasne, most of our culture is American based.
Yeah, they choose it too.
They
They
do.
plop their kid on the yellow school bus.
Yeah.
What do you think it happens?
I mean, I do the same thing. I'm not above it. I do it too. You know, like we all do.
Yeah.
Everybody can, there are going to be people who try to make it seem like they're better than others in our community. But that's bullshit. But and that's the thing is, I'll call that out and say, you do the same fucking thing. And, just own it.
Yeah.
Own it. And then let's talk about it. Let's figure out a better way and get back to being more of that collectivist society.
I think that's why I'm a fan of individual action. I'm also a fan of, for instance, the cannabis. I'm more of a fan of tons of people making lots of money on it than like just one organization making tons of money on it, because it decentralizes the power. They're like, well, now we can't use it to buy big $1 million things. Yeah. Absolutely. Now you can't use it to buy big $1 million things. We can have thousands of $1,000 things. Let's do that. Let's spread it.
Yeah.
And it spreads the damage.
And that's the thing is, like, I think I guess my ideology, would be more, because I look at our history, and you look at you look at the, at times, parables that are handed down throughout our history, right? It is collectivism based, so
sort of.
I mean, as far as societal, care goes, that's the thing. I just don't think that, because I think more along that way. I would rather have everybody be comfortable and not worried constantly about how am I going to feed myself.
Yeah.
And instead of having, 10 people in our community who are multimillionaires.
Right.
Like, I'll give up some of what I could get willingly, gladly, in order for everybody else to be okay. But because our community has become so enamored with material things and adopting that American idea of, the more I get, the better I am. The more I can show it off.
Yeah.
That doesn't help everybody.
Right.
And that's all I want to do is
And that's the
help
culture
everybody.
of consumerism.
Absolutely.
It's not even separate from, like, they call it capitalism, but it doesn't have to be that way. Going back to Japan, the feudal lord had a lot of money, but the dumb feudal lord spent it all.
Yeah.
The smart feudal lord used it to have a big family and to have a lot of people that would work for him.
And right now you look at it like, if we're talking about like the millionaires that we have around, when you think about that, who does it see? And like, we know who we're talking about, but you look at those people, and in our community, we all know who you and I are talking about. When you look at those people, who are they have a base of people around them who will rally to them. But why? Because they give them money. Do they give them enough money? Probably not. You know, do they really care about them? No. But those people will show that loyalty because, you know, their livelihood depends upon it. That's not the way to build a society, in my view. You know,
not in the long term.
No, exactly.
Because someone always wants to be on top of that heap.
Yeah. So we're always going to have people who are climbers, I guess. And, you know, like part of that is human nature. But I'd like to see that stop being the main goal for people. To be, you know, like, I just want to climb so that I can floss and, you know what I mean, show it off and, you know, have lackeys around me who will do whatever the fuck I say because, you know, I give them $100.
Yeah, and people do it in other ways too. Like politics is for the people who can't achieve that way.
Yes,
and that's there's a plenty of people in politics that and in you know, court systems who love to have that authority. There's you know, I really think it's a lot of people. They love authority.
Yes.
And they love control, like, because ultimately it's easy to walk away from all this. If you don't value control, it's like, fuck it, you don't want to do it. I'm going to sit over here and
that's true.
Grow vegetables. I don't care.
And that's the thing is like, and I think like during the campaign, you know, you guys had me on, you know, a couple times, and then you and I had, you know, a lot of extensive discussions. But the thing is like, and I agree with that. It's the idea of control and power, you know, even though, you know, at what cost, I guess, is what I would ask.
To what end?
Yeah. And is it worth it?
Yeah.
You know, like, are you going to look back, you know, if you're a multi-term tribal chief, when the end comes for you, are you going to look back with pride and say, I left a good legacy there? Well, what did you do? You know? And to me, that's all that matters in the end. What did you do? You know, did you really work for the people? You know, because I see the way that things go, and I understand, like, you and I know I was just talking about this. You bring ideas like that into the conversation, and then people in our community say, "Well, you're just contrarian. You just want to point out problems. You know, offer solutions." Well, no. I've offered solutions. I've heard you offer solutions. But because we don't get that engagement from the people who agree with us, it's basically no. You know, and after the election, you know, I didn't cry about it. I wasn't, you know, I kind of expected what was going to happen.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, me too. I know.
Jump in last minute. I got a small family. I'm fucking. I didn't go house to house. I make fun of people.
Yeah, like and
I make blowjob videos.
And you and I talked about that openly, and I had no problem with that. As a matter of fact, I thought that was a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, because, I mean, I didn't want to go to all the people who supported me and say, I know I'm going to lose.
Yeah.
But deep down, I was pretty sure I was going to lose.
Yeah.
You know, it was my first time out there.
Right.
And, you know, I did better than a lot of people thought I was going to do.
Yeah.
But I did notice, too, that some of those ideas that were being put out there, yours, too, some of them have been adopted by tribal council. You know, the idea of more frequent meetings, you know, even just that, you know, they were doing that for a while. And I haven't been as active politically as I normally am. I needed to take a step back from it. But this right here, you know, I think, I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I think this is our effort to jump back in with both feet.
Yeah, and it's potential to reach way more people than, you know, standing on a street corner.
Yeah,
make it tick. I don't know. I get a lot of TikToks.
I know. I was when you started doing it. We talked about that, and you told me, and I was like, because I'm old at this point. Well, actually, I was thinking about this before I came on the show. I was gonna say, it was the young people who didn't come out, you know, because they don't come out and they don't become active. They don't vote.
Yeah.
And how do you reach them? I mean, that was something that you and I talked, and I talked about it with the people who backed me up in the campaign. Was they kept saying to me, "You need to get the young people out there," and I said, "I agree. I just don't have I can't give you an answer on how to do that. I have ideas, but I can't definitively say this is going to work."
I do feel two ways about that. You know, the people's apathy in the system also means they don't believe in the system.
Absolutely.
And, you know, that's something to think about.
Yeah.
And that's a power base that if you could mobilize it, then maybe you could just overthrow the system.
And that's, you know what? And
I'm not afraid to burn a house down. You
neither
know what
am
I mean? Like that's, I'm not attached to any system. Even my own longhouse system, I'm not attached to it.
Neither am I.
Like I could see the flaws in it so bad.
Oh, you and I could.
Yeah.
We could go on about that for a long time because that's the same thing. And I'll put it out here right now. You know, since I came back, I've been going to the Great Law Longhouse.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped going about a year ago.
Yeah.
For multiple reasons. You know what I mean? But I see mimicry going on of the tribal system within the longhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And when that started to happen, I voiced my objections. And you know, Guy in Longoa, when something gets put in the well and you don't agree, all it takes is one person.
Right.
But it happened anyway.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking at that and I'm saying, wait a minute, you're not living the way. You're not following the protocols. You're not following the procedures.
Yeah, they're only as good as their enforcement.
Exactly. And so if you're that quick to abandon those principles, then what am I doing there? You know, I'm not going to keep, and I don't want to fight my own people. I really don't.
Right.
You know, I don't want to do that. But, you know, and then how much effort am I going to keep putting into this to go nowhere?
Yeah.
It's just, it doesn't make sense.
There's a couple of people I want to fight.
Yeah, me too.
Like not like verbally, like no, I want to punch them.
Oh yeah, me too. Me too. I'm just too old and fat and weak. I was never a really good fighter anyway, but you know, I don't, you know, like I share your sentiment. There are people who I definitely want to knock.
I think there's a place in society for it.
Yeah, there is. Like you know what? You look at our old ways, and for people to say, you know, that's not our historical traditional way. That's not true.
Yeah.
You would get fucked up.
Yeah. Tradition is a question of when, where, and what else was going on.
Exactly.
Because there's times.
Yeah. There were appropriate times. Like if you fucked up enough, you were going to get dealt with physically, you know, like that happened. Yeah. So, I mean, it's not like, you know, that's a foreign concept to us, you know. It's
exactly.
Just, and I still believe right now, like, I love my wife for this because she is the most sensitive person I know, the most thoughtful person I know, most mindful person I know. But she also is quick to say, sometimes people just need a punch in the mouth. And it's true. You know, like I'm not advocating violence all the time, but you know, there's a reason why sometimes violence works. It does. You know,
gentlemen fisticuffs.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like put them up. See, I mean, that's the thing though. Is like sometimes that shit does work. That's why, you know, many differences. Now, I'm not saying the white people did this all right, but our people did it too. Yeah. Sometimes it came to war or a battle or a fight. Yeah. You know, it does sometimes come to that. You know, the saying, what is it? Revolution at the point of a barrel or at the end of a barrel. Yeah. You know, it's something like that.
Right.
I mean, that's the way that things play out a lot. You know?
It does.
And we didn't have guns when that shit would go on. But you know our history better than me.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I know our history better than a lot of our people do. And those things happen amongst, you know, between native and native. Oh, yeah. You know, it happened.
Yeah, people are people.
People are people. Human nature doesn't just go away. It doesn't.
And part of it is sussing out what's nature and what's not nature. Like I think a lot of things we call the human nature are really just little ideas stuck in our little heads as we're babies and programmed like the Matrix.
Well, I think that's been proven out more over time. Like my wife's a psychology major. She's getting her degree this year. Well, next year. But, you know, I'm always fascinated. Like we talked about serial killers earlier. I'm fascinated with the way that people behave because to me, it's just, I think that the human condition and why people do what they do is fascinating to me anyway. But you examine all of that and that idea of like what gets implanted into your head, you know, more and more as you see scientific evidence come out, that idea of nature versus nurture. And we could use serial killers as an example, right? Most of it, and even the experts on this, they'll say now, much more than half of it comes from your upbringing. And, you know, like, and we can use racism as an example.
Yep.
Babies in little and I say when I say babies, I mean up to like 5 years old.
Yeah.
They're babies. They don't learn that shit, on their own.
No.
Like, that's put into them.
Right.
Kids don't, like if you had no adult there fucking these kids up,
Oh, yeah.
Another, 2 5-year-olds, one dark complected, like a black person, and one pale skin and white, all they're going to see in each other is, oh, his hair is different than mine.
Yeah.
And he's darker than me.
Yeah.
And they might be curious about that.
Yeah. They might rub at it, try to.
But they don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
It's when the adults who are fucked up in the head start messing with these kids and putting that crazy, ugly shit in there.
Yeah.
That's when bad things happen. I mean, it's just, it's the way that it is. And a lot of times I think humans are terrible, because they are.
Yeah.
But I can't stand those people. I can't stand it when people are like, oh, most humans are good. No, they're not.
Yeah.
No, they're not. I don't believe that.
No.
I think everybody has the potential to be good,
Right.
but everybody's got to work at it. And a lot of us don't work at it.
Yeah.
There's times I don't work at it.
No, let's embrace the chaos.
Yeah.
Go for it, dude.
Honestly, I think that when we were doing when we were both campaigning, I think we were both kind of embracing the chaos because you just said, I have no loyalty to one system.
Yeah.
And while I was campaigning, someone actually asked me, because I was going through like problems I see in the tribal system, and then I was offering up suggestions of what I wanted to do to change it, right? So this person asked me, so you just hate the tribe and you just want to rip it all down? I said, no. I said, that's not necessarily the case. There might be a point where I wouldn't be opposed to that if I had the opportunity to get in there and attempt those changes, do my best to change those things. But if the system if I saw that the system was so oppressive and entrenched that there was no way to change it,
Right.
then I would be willing to do a teardown.
Yeah.
But you have to have someone in there willing to do the work and willing to put it out there in order to see if it can be changed, because, I have no personal issues with the people who are in there now. Some of the administration I do, not personal, but just, the way that I see things happening, the operation of it. And I have operational and policy problems with a good deal of the things that the tribal council does as well. But, you have to be willing to put that out there,
right?
And if you don't, then you're just, I don't like this idea of I guess you could call it almost dogmatic,
Well, I mean, that's where a lot of people in the community are coming from. I mean, they're literally coming from a dogmatic religion, and that structure sticks in their head. It's sticky.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. And at some systems, they can we still need a clinic that works. So we can't just set everything on fire one day.
Exactly.
On the other hand, policing could go away tomorrow. I think we're worse with it than without it. I think what they do is they have the facade of a solution and not an actual solution.
Okay.
And they can be replaced actually kind of easily.
I think you and I have talked about this before. That might have been in Generations, actually. I think it was. But, and this is something where we'll disagree on, because I do, like I said earlier, I do, there needs to be something in place where when there is a dangerous situation or something vital happening, there needs to be someone there who the people can call upon.
Who are you going to call?
Who are you going to call? Right.
Yeah.
And,
agreed.
And does it have to be the tribal police? No.
Right.
But again, let's come up with a plan.
Yeah.
To transition away from it, if that's what the people want to do.
Remember, there was a time not that long ago there was no police.
I know, and
and it's not that long. People don't realize that.
Yeah.
It was like your parents remember.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
My father told me he was.
We know the problems come up too.
He was around when.
Yeah.
Was it the late 70s when they kicked him out of there? Yeah.
So, for what reason?
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm not saying he was there necessarily. Maybe he was, but but
because they're getting their training from this. It's the thing is, it's that they love that facade of it's ours. And then when you got your training, you got your cars, you got your money, you got your everything from a particular place. You're doing it their way, and there's our issue.
Yep.
And that I agree. There should be someone to call.
Yeah.
I think it should be a branch of the social services, honestly.
You know what?
And 90% of situations, I think traffic control is its own separate thing. I think it's completely separate from policing. I think that always looking for the next escalation is just exactly what I'm talking about. We're going to escalate the violence, and we're going to watch it when we have the power. Oh, how dare you? If you act like a cop to a cop, they do not like it.
No, and I've done it multiple times because honestly, like I guess that's a character flaw within me. I do enjoy to argue. I do. I like to debate. I really do enjoy that. But I like to do it for the purposes of furthering, a conversation, maybe to open someone else's eyes. But when I do that, I find that people, if these are people who are serious about the conversation, I've had multiple times where my position has been altered because someone opened my eyes to something I hadn't thought about, and to me, that's the whole point of having these deeper discussions.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the, so like as we talk, in the instance of policing itself, it's not that it's not that it can't be done a different way. It's just people will automatically think that you just hate the police. You hate our own people who are on the force.
I do. Some of them.
Absolutely. And I understand.
A couple are good guys. And I feel bad for the good guys because you know what happens to them?
They all get tainted.
They wash out.
Yes. Yeah.
They end up in a better place usually.
Yeah.
I don't mean that in a bad way.
No. I know what you're talking about.
Like my friend's a safety officer at the school. He's a great dude.
Yeah. For me working with them for so long, I got to know pretty much all of them. Maybe, some pretty well. Not most of them very well, but I got to know them. And there are a couple who are problematic, definitely.
And they have their own club, and that's the problem.
And they do.
They even have their own flag, which is a desecration of the flag.
Yeah. And you, I mean, I don't know that I want to put all that on blast right now, but, it's something that you and we know who they are.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in the community know who they are.
Yeah.
And those are the problematic ones. The ones who I'm friends with now are great people, really care about the community. But, but because the true power base within the tribal police is tied to the tribal council itself and that entrenched power, that throws a blanket of shade over the whole thing. And that's not right. It's not.
Yeah. And the thin blue lines are a real thing.
Yeah.
That's the other part of it is they act like a gang and elevating. It's even like they don't even get in as much trouble.
Yeah.
When in a just world, if you're given a position of trust and you fuck up, like you don't get to do that. You don't get to be an airline pilot and fuck up a lot.
No.
Right? You don't get to be a doctor. If you're a surgeon and you make too many wrong cuts, there's punishment. If you're air traffic control, you fuck up once.
Yeah, you're done. We don't have, and the funny thing is, because my wife, part of her degree program is, it was focused on police interactions, right? And the policing psychology, all that kind of stuff. And I saw from the inside, right, with just the general attitude of some of these guys on the force. And not only that, but I met police officers in other departments too. Now, that's a fuck of a lot of power to give somebody. It is. It's a lot. And you talk about the escalation factor. There are far too many who are escalatory in nature. Yeah. Just because when they get handed that badge, they get handed that gun, it's a lot of power. And you can go on that trip. And I've seen it happen before. Like, not just to other people, but I've seen it happen to me. Now, was I right in everything that I did when I was with them? No. But it also doesn't need to be that way where it has to be like constantly ramping up.
Yeah.
I'm not going to listen to anything you got to say. Who the fuck are you
Right.
to even question me about anything?
Yeah.
What good does that do?
Right.
None.
Yeah.
It only erodes the trust that people have within, with your police department.
And they sure don't.
And they don't. Most of the community does not.
Yeah.
Like when we talk about these things, like out campaigning, I know you didn't go door to door, but I did.
No, I'm too lazy for that shit.
Yeah, but I don't think it was that. I just think that I think you were clearly making your points during the. I don't know that everybody, because I saw a lot of people say you weren't serious and all this, and in my mind, I was watching what you were doing and seeing a part of it as satire, because that's what it was.
Yeah.
You were trying to point out the absurdities of some of this stuff.
Uh-huh.
But it was such a, I don't want to say it was too cerebral, but I'm saying
Will constantly says my comedy's too smart for dumb people.
it is. It really is. Like
the smart people get it.
Yeah, like I saw what you were doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it wasn't so blatant that it got to everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
More people need to go on TikTok.
yeah, I mean, you know what? Those were fucking hilarious, man. It was great. And like I appreciated it. I'm not one to be like, oh, I just want to hear a dick joke. And, I appreciate those too. But, it's like I can appreciate the stuff that has a deeper level of, a deeper meaning. But it's, you get to that point and now are you just talking around the edges, I guess?
Yeah.
But that's what, out campaigning.
Right.
So many people were just, and it baffles me. I don't understand. Like, okay, I'm talking to these people, and I'd say 70% of them are unhappy with the tribal system the way it is now.
Yeah.
But how many of them came out and voted?
That's true.
Very little.
Yeah.
So you don't like the system, but you won't go out and do anything for you or me who are actively trying to change it. So they have to own part of that too.
Yeah.
And at some point it's like, I'm never going to give up on those people. I won't. But will I get frustrated and step away for a little bit at times? Yeah,
that's
I will.
fair.
I think it's fair.
Yeah, you're not getting paid to do that shit.
No. And, it's just like, to me, that frustration, it has to come out at some time. And I think that the cannabis situation was a prime example of where tribal council, I don't think that they were expecting the reaction that they got.
Yeah.
I really don't. And the way that they handled it was not smart. It was uncoordinated. It was clunky. It was stupid at times. It was authoritarian. It was, they were literally, I heard it come out of tribal council's mouth. Some of them, they were pretty much threatening some of the shops with bringing in the federal agents.
Yeah.
And
wasn't there an IRS thing that came around?
Yeah, but that wasn't for that. That was for the ATM thing, or not the ATM, the card swipes, the tax on the taxes that they're supposed to pay on the transactions throughout the card readers and stuff.
Bitcoin didn't figure that one out yet?
Yeah, I know, right? The fucking scam.
Come on, man. I thought it was for laundering money.
I know, right? But I honestly, it gets to that point, and that's why the cannabis thing, I was so gung ho for, and I still am, because I think that was a beautiful show of, people just standing up and saying, look, you want to turn this, and we can go back to those millionaires that we have here. It was pretty clear that tribal council was more interested in handing that entire industry to a handful of people, rather than spreading it around to 1,000 places with $1,000. That's clearly what they were doing, or wanted to do. And I thought it was a beautiful thing to see everybody stand up and say, no, we're not going to do that. You're not going to monopolize this the way that you have so many other things here. And, it's like, so to me, that was a great thing. I think that once that initial threat from tribal council was, dissipated, the people have gone back to, I wouldn't say a slumber, but they're not on their toes.
Yeah.
Because that shoe can drop at any time.
Right.
And if it does, you need to rally yourself because everybody was supposed to, the plan that, I thought was going to happen was we were going to prepare ourselves for the political battle, the legal battles that were to come, and the fight for sovereignty over these things. Those went away very quickly when the money came into it. And that was ugly to me. Really ugly to me because I don't care about the money. Money's a tool and I view it as such. Would it be nice to have it, so I don't have to worry? Sure. But I'm not going to sell my fucking soul for $1 million.
No, it's going to cost like $2 million.
Yeah, man.
Like 2 or 3.
I want 5.
Yeah, 5.
And then I'll go work for Donald Trump.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Powerball, I want to know that. I bought my first lottery ticket ever.
Oh, I always do.
I bought a Powerball ticket because why not? $10. My chances aren't 0. They're very close to 0, but they're not 0. So I bought it, but I was spending it in my head, and it was like, I'm buying all these people houses, and I'm buying the Freedom School, and I'm buying a tank.
That's it. You know what?
I'm going to buy some weird shit. And I'm going to spend every drop of it.
That's, you know what?
I'm not going to save shit.
My wife and I talk about this all the time because I play, every week I play $10. $5 at one go and then $5 at another. And my wife and I have already planned this out. If we won, we would give most of it away. Honestly, we would. And I've had so many people come to me, like when we talk about this shit, because it's fun to talk about. You know? It's a dream.
Yeah.
And they always say, you really would you say that now. And I'm like, no, I would make sure my family was taken care of.
Yeah.
So they didn't have to worry about anything. But the rest of it would go into the community.
Oh, fuck them kids. They ain't get nothing.
You better work.
Make them lazy.
Shits.
Fuck that.
But I mean, that's the thing is like, oh no, my son would have to work. But, that's the thing is like, and we see it with the millionaires that we have here. Oh, you gave $5,000. Great. How much did you net last year? Yeah. $5 million? Mm-hmm. Good job.
Yeah.
Good job. Oh, I'm real proud of you. And in case anybody listening to this doesn't understand, that was fucking sarcasm, big time.
I still appreciate the $5,000 though.
So do I, but I'm saying like
there's a lot of millionaires that don't give shit here.
Oh, I know.
You don't even know they're a millionaire.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's true.
There's quite a few of those.
It's like, to me, it's like the whole money thing is gross.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
I just, to me, I don't understand it. And you don't, I mean, like you said, that's why I clapped when you said that. Because my plan with something like that would be to give most of it away.
Yeah.
I don't trust the federal government, nor do I trust tribal council to do the right thing with that money.
I'd build a tribal building exactly the same across the road and call it the Better Tribal Building.
You know what?
We'd have dancing naked girls and
holy moly. But you know what? I would, because perhaps this is probably going to come off as pretty arrogant, but if I was in control of the programs and the funding that the tribal council was in control of, I could do it far better. Mm-hmm. I could do it far better.
Yeah.
And it's just, you see the, you just like, and again, it's not just trying to say that I'm finding fault with these things and I have no possible solutions. Get into a deeper discussion with me, anybody out there, and I'll offer up solutions. Yeah. And if I don't have one, as a matter of fact, we talked about that on one of the times you guys had me on before, was, God, I wish I could remember what it was. But I think it was something to do with the health. Mm-hmm. And I said, I don't have all the answers for this. I don't even necessarily have a good idea for how to change this. But you did.
Yeah. That was my idea. Sometimes I say brilliant shit and I forget it.
I forget too. I think that you and I are saying...
I'm like a sage that way.
Hey, man.
You better write it down, man. It's just because it's gone.
I think you and I are both... I
didn't say it. The fucking spirit said it.
Yeah, I know, right?
They just used my face. I just wandered through the
Someone's talking through me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, but it's just, it's like... I just don't know how... I don't, like I said, I don't have a good answer for how to completely get away from this or how to, try to get people to think differently. All you can do is do your best.
I know a good place to start is not to be all or nothing.
Yeah.
Like we're not. You can state perfection, you'll never reach it probably, but we can do better.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, is the opportunity cost lost when we piss away money on stupid endeavors.
Yes.
Like that's what kind of bugs me. Or when we're investing in something that will detrimental to the future. I mean, for instance, housing, right? To continue to sprawl the way we do is hurting our great grandchildren.
That's actually what your idea was on.
Yeah.
It was housing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is just the way we're operating, the way our land usage works. We're hurting the future. We're giving ourselves a big fucking problem. And we're crying about climate change the whole time while participating in it. Like in a big way too, not in like, oh, this doesn't matter, I'm just an individual. Like, no, it fucking, your house really matters as like a big giant energy suck. And everybody wants to Mayberry because that's what's in their head.
Yep. And it doesn't have to be, like, there's no reason why, and I'm not saying that this is the definitive answer or the be all end all, because like what you said, the same, how does it go? Perfection is the enemy of good.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be perfect. It's never
Right.
going, you're right. Yeah. It will never be perfect. Mm-hmm. So get it to the best that you can. Mm-hmm. If you ever reach perfection, I will fucking applaud you forever, but it's not going to happen, but like the housing thing, one thing is, because you brought that to my mind, the sprawl, the idea of that. Mm-hmm. That's not sustainable for us. It's just not, because we have too many people. So the idea of everybody getting, an acre and, be able to, do that, it's not attainable. We can build up. Mm-hmm. We can have common, garden areas or, activity area, that kind of thing. But there's plenty of people who live an entire life, in a 4th floor apartment that's nice and fit for a family and can sustain you. And that entire building can be built environmentally friendly and all of that. And then we can start bringing our people who have to leave back home.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
And it's a good place to start too, because of the nature of the way you build houses on the res, got a little more control over other people.
Yeah.
You kind of make them do it because they need a house and they don't have $100,000 or $200,000 or, okay, well, if you're relying on this, then this is where you get to live. Buddy.
And that's the thing is like,
hope you like it.
We have a hut house. Our house is beautiful. I'm so thankful for it every day. Mm-hmm. And, and me, I don't know shit about building. All my friends make fun of me because pretty much all my friends, like, they know how to build. They know how to fix shit. They know how to fix cars. Like, I don't know that. I was never taught that.
Yeah.
You put a book in front of me or, you tell me to write a legal decision. Okay, I can do that, But you tell me to do any of that kind of shit, I'm going to defer to the people who know. At least I'm not stupid. I know when to defer to people. But it's like, I have read enough and watched enough things to know that there are better ways to build than what goes on now here.
Right.
I know that there are. I know that there are. And there's even, my understanding of it is there's better ways to build and it can even be more cost effective. So
over the length of time.
Yeah.
Everyone always forgets about time. And the time, we're creatures of time. It's
we only have a set.
The commies always forget about time.
Yeah,
they act as if time means nothing, and it's like, time means a fuckload when you're a human. Time's not real, dude. Okay,
yeah.
Tell my knees that, bud.
I'll tell you what. Like when I hit like 30, like when I hit like 38, I was like, and I'm 41 now, but when I hit that, I don't know, like it was around that time about 3 years ago. I started thinking about that, and I'm like, you know what? It's like you really do start thinking about that when you hit middle age, like real middle age.
When there's more behind than in front.
And you're like, holy shit, like, how much time did I waste? I can't get it back. And then you try to, like me, I try to prepare my son so that he doesn't waste time, because you can't get it back. Time is a thing.
Right.
You have a finite amount on this earth, and that's it. So I'm not a Hindu. I don't believe in reincarnation. I do think that I just have a hard time believing that because we're energy, it's got to go somewhere. But I have no idea
snail's ass.
what it is. Yeah, I mean, what if maybe you do become that. Maybe I become the nutsack on a squirrel or something. I don't fucking know.
But you don't remember before when you were nutsack, so it doesn't matter either way, right?
I don't care. As long as I get another shot of being a human. But I mean, those are the things you think about that, and then we think about how much time that you do waste.
Yeah.
It's like, and
hey, the Xbox is fun.
It is. Hey, look. I figure at this point, humans have gotten past the point where foraging for food, hunting for food, struggling for shelter and warmth and all that is not so hard to attain for where we are anyway.
Yeah. For now.
For now, but I don't think that. I think that once you get past that point to like the era that we live in now, I don't think there's anything wrong with occupying your time with PlayStation or movies. You know, like why not?
Right.
Try to make your life more enjoyable.
Yeah. Who says what values what?
Exactly. Like I'm not the arbiter of that. Yeah. Neither are you.
Yeah.
Who the fuck is?
Right.
Like
Elden Ring's fun as shit.
I haven't played it yet.
Fuck, it's fun as shit.
You like that one? My son loved it.
I'm so attached to it.
Yeah. I don't know. My wife and I play Red Dead Online.
The kids like that one.
Yeah, and I like the Conan game. Okay. I think you and I talked about that.
I don't really like Conan. I want to check that one out.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. It's completely open world. It's really fucking...
I like open world.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like, this is like, you can build everything, fight dinosaurs, all kinds of shit.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, man, it's cool. But yeah,
like us, you'd be fighting dinosaurs and we're building everything.
Yeah, that's what, I mean, and it's just like, it's a time suck because you got to go out and collect materials and everything, but it's fun, I mean, like I said, who's to tell you or me how to spend your time?
Yeah. Elden Ring's the creator's game.
I'm going to remember that. But I mean, how you spend your time on this earth while you're here. I mean, I guess this is getting kind of existential, I guess, but like enjoy yourself as much as you can. But I do think that you should try to do as much good as you can as well. I mean, whether or not it's effective that's a whole nother thing. How do you judge, how do you yourself judge your effectiveness?
Yeah.
Usually people are their own worst critics. Yeah. So
usually I run into them at the Legion because I'm there for some benefit or another. And they're like, hey, you did this 20 years ago. Hey, you taught me this. Hey, hey, you used to come and sing in my school. Hey, hey, you taught me yoga. Hey, I took jujitsu because I wanted to fight that girl, and now I found her way better.
Yeah, but it always feels good when somebody, appreciates,
that's the way
anything you've done.
That's the way to gauge effectiveness, or just the quality of your. I don't know. To me, it's the quality of my relationships, and like, I have a wide variety of friends and loved ones, and the fact that I maintain all of that is a testament to I guess my nature. For sure. Because that self-awareness is important too.
Absolutely. That's something that,
If I was too big of a dick, I wouldn't have that many friends.
Well, I mean, I kind of like when you and I first got introduced, and I'm not trying to kiss your ass because this is, like your studio. I don't want to get kicked out. But I think you and I had kind of a similar mindset. Yeah. And like a connection on that kind of level. So I appreciate that. Yeah. It's not just like you're not thinking immediate gratification. Neither am I. Right. That's where you want to get. Yeah. You don't, because it feels good right away, but long term. Yeah. What's happening?
I don't get anything from having these ideals. Like I could just do yoga and smoke weed and eat mushrooms and trip my brains out all the time. And like I don't need to care about any of this stuff. Nope. Like fucking and sometimes you have to go there. Like I don't know, the people who do care about like their community sometimes let go because like you can't control all that shit. So so you can get pissed about it. Like a lot of time in my youth, I was pissed about things. Or you can just be like, oh, fuck it. I'll go over here, play my video game.
Yeah. I mean, well.
Do some drywall.
I still get pissed, and I don't think that, I don't know. I just don't think that there's any way that, like you said, you don't have to do any of this shit. I don't have to do any of this shit. I don't have to put that much of myself into any of this. But I want to. There's times when I'll step back for a while.
Yeah, I just want that cool shit to exist.
Yeah.
I want there to be a cool village. Like,
Me
holy
too.
fuck. And have a nice little farmer's market. That I'll go to that.
Me too.
And like, hey, look, all these people live in these nice, cool places. I'm still here building out of straw because I'm fucking hard-headed.
Yeah, but that's I don't see that as being an issue either. Yeah. No, I really don't, because that's the whole, like, to me. Okay, maybe I'm being judgmental or something, but I think that the whole point of life, at least, again, me projecting what I think everybody should do.
Yeah.
But
listen up, stupids.
Yeah, right. I mean, I've said that to people before, but I'm not saying it's right. I mean, I make jokes all the time that I want to be a benevolent dictator.
Yeah.
Because
it should make shit easier.
Well, that's the thing is, like, and I know that this is part of, like, grandiosity.
Yeah.
But I do think that, if people just listen to what the fuck I said and did what I said should be done, things would be a lot better.
Yeah.
Which, again, is self-importance and all that. But, I don't think that I think that there are definitely things that you and I have suggested that would improve our community.
Yeah. And it doesn't come out of a vacuum either. That's like the thing. It's like, it's not born. A lot of these ideas aren't born out of my head. It's like I read the thing and it makes sense.
Yeah.
Or I seen it in action, or, this group here does it this way and this group does it this way. Hey, let's, look at that. And let's throw our shit in there too.
Absolutely.
And there we go. Let's do some alchemy.
Yeah. There are so many things. There's so many modes that have been utilized to form a society and sustain a society in the history of mankind that, there's no reason why you can't pick some from here, pick some from there. And, to me, I think that, basing it mostly in our old way is, more ideal. But even like when I worked at the court, I even told people, like, the court has changed since I have been there, and there's many problems there. We could probably do a show on it.
We probably should.
We should. And I'll be completely frank,
because you'll be the expert there. I'll just be the anarchist in the room. And like, fuck.
I will let it all go too. Yeah. I don't care. I've already done it to told a lot of people, but I see the value of the tribal court for our community. I do. So long as it's operating in a fair and just manner. So
as long as we just have the right people in power.
Exactly. Right.
And that's like the argument people use when I hear like people who vote. As long as it doesn't vote for log house people. We have.
Yeah, that's it.
They're like mostly log house people now.
Yeah, actually it is 2 out of 3. And then,
it was 3 out of 3 for a minute.
It was. Yeah. I mean, when oh God, what was shit was I just thinking of? Senior moment. But I really, I was talking with a guy, he's a libertarian. Mm-hmm. I actually find a lot of value in some libertarian principles.
I would put myself fairly close to that.
Particularly with the social stuff, like, in my mind. I mean, you say
real libertarianism, though, not
true,
not Republican fascism that calls itself libertarian.
No. Real libertarian. Real libertarian.
Thou shalt do no harm, libertarian.
And that's actually said. I was taught that in the Longhouse. One of the first things. If you look at Guyana, like it boils down to respect and do no harm. Mm-hmm. Like, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to social issues, if you're not hurting anybody, do whatever the fuck you want. Mm-hmm. I don't care. Mm-hmm. Like we talked about drugs earlier. If you want to go shoot up heroin, go ahead.
Your arm, man.
Yeah, your arm,
your nose,
your bloodstream.
Yeah,
I don't.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to control you on that. Mm-hmm. If you want to go rob old ladies,
well,
then I have an issue with that. Mm-hmm. But that's just because of you robbing people,
Right.
not because you're doing drugs,
Right.
because people look at that the wrong way too. Drug abuse and drug addiction, that's a public health problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
All addiction.
Yeah, all addiction,
Yeah.
right?
It's all mental health.
It's all mental health.
Uh-huh.
It's all a medical, leave it there.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't be until you commit a crime in, to further your, being able to do drugs.
Mm-hmm.
That's different.
And much of the time they're doing, the fact that they do drugs is the crime. Therefore, they're criminalized from the outset.
Just from doing drugs.
And then they live in a world where they're a pariah in every system, so they can't even hold a job. Otherwise, probably a good portion of the problems associated with opiate addiction and would probably go away.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another thing is and it seems to me like things about that are changing. But, I mean, you take it back into, you know what? It's actually kind of a good example for our community because we all know someone who was or is in the middle of addiction or drug abuse, right?
Mostly alcoholism, though.
Mostly alcoholism. Yeah. Sure, but
if I ask a room who's got a family member who's an alcoholic, it's going to be a good portion every time.
I would definitely say alcohol abuse is definitely more prevalent.
Pills is up there.
Pills is up there. I mean, like I said, I had my own issues. And my wife, during the campaign, she kept telling me, you should talk more frankly about that. Because then people will know you're not just talking shit. That you have some experience with this and, that you can speak intelligently about it. But that kind of pariah state that we have with people who are juicers or, drug abusers, it does turn them into pariahs, and then look at how hard it is for some of those people to get a job after they've begun straightening themselves out.
Right. Now they have 2 felonies, whatever.
Yeah.
Both like nonviolent things.
Right.
Or something stupid, stole car radios because they were...
You're not a psycho. You know what I mean? Yeah. But you get those on your jacket and, and especially in our community, at some point, everybody knows everybody somewhere down the line, and so the things that get said about you, as like, well, do you, like, I'm sure that when I got hired at the court, Isaac White? Yep. And ask around, and then eventually someone's going to be like, oh, well, he used to be real wild and, do this and do that, but is that the person that you are now?
Right.
And at what point do you get to, actually wipe the slate clean? I think that people need to build that trust back up and that respectability, but everybody deserves that shot unless you've done something completely heinous, but I mean, that's on a case-by-case basis.
It's something that's pathological that you can't stop yourself from doing. Like all those fellas up at the Great View Motel.
Exactly. I was just about to say that.
I don't know what to do with those fuckers. Like,
I do.
I mean, there's just one way.
Yeah, because honestly, again, you read a little bit about that, pedophilia and stuff.
Yeah.
What is it like? It's like 90% of them. You ain't getting, it's always there.
Yeah.
It's never going away.
Yeah.
So what do you do with them?
I don't know. You need like a shot that just...
You either put them in an island or, go the other way with it.
Well, maybe that's a solution. You put them on an island and put them to work and they can live a nice, weird life, there.
Because
productive.
I've been, we did the bail reform project at the court. So, I've seen things from the inside. And I usually have empathy and really believe that people should be treated fairly no matter what. But if you're a pedophile, I have absolutely no empathy, sympathy for you at all. I don't. I don't. That's a one case that I'd be...
I mean, because what they do, it's almost like a virus.
It is. Because
it was done to them. Shit, that sucks. But it's like a virus. Now you've been infected with the finger.
And how many people, and that's another thing too, is like, I don't know the numbers on this, but I can't imagine that one thing that I would guess that most of the people who become child molesters were probably molested themselves.
Yeah.
But I don't believe that the majority of people who were molested become child molesters.
Yeah, that's so.
I don't think so.
That's so.
It doesn't seem that way.
No, otherwise it'd be way more.
Right.
But man, people like secrets, so who knows?
Of course. Yeah.
Who fucking knows? You don't know.
I've heard so many stories of people who were molested that I was like, there's been points where I'm like, who hasn't been molested? You know what I mean? Like, you hear enough stories and you're like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Like, everybody? Is everybody?
Yeah.
It can be overwhelming. And then you think about the damage that does to somebody.
Yeah.
Like, who the fuck has the right to do that to them and then exist on this plane?
Yeah.
I just don't see it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm all about forgiveness, and everybody getting second chances. I do not for them. I don't know. I just don't. That's a pretty heavy thing to.
Yeah, society doesn't know the answer to that one either.
I don't know that there is a perfect answer. Well, there's no perfect answer in anything really, but
we fly them to space.
Yeah,
we make them Marines.
Go the first ship to Mars when they start building on that motherfucker. Send them up there.
They'll be the test pilots.
There you go.
They get to work in radioactive factories.
What was
they
it?
Go clean up your crane. Chernobyl. Here's your mop, buddy.
If you make it, good on you. If you don't, oh well.
We don't want those genes to pass anyway.
Nope. No, definitely not. Because it changes. Like I was told too that like when we talk about our genes and DNA and all that stuff, I guess that they're finding now that there's more and more evidence that historical trauma, like we talk about that here, generational trauma, right? That actually gets imprinted into your DNA. Yeah. So things that happened to our people hundreds of years ago, it imprinted on those people when they had children, and then it kept happening to those children. So it keeps getting imprinted into that DNA. Yeah. So it's not just the stories that we hear. There's more and more scientists who are thinking that it actually does become a part of your DNA. And when you see some of our people's reactions to the outside or the things that are happening to us, I can believe that.
Yeah.
I can believe that more and more.
I've heard that. I don't even know how you would study that. Like, you would have to do, I don't even know.
I didn't read any, their methodology or anything.
I'm always fuzzy because I've listened to so much history stuff, and especially about the early 20th century and things like eugenics were all the rage. The thing that our blood quantum's based on, the whole blood quantum thing is eugenics, by the way. I don't know if people realize that. We have eugenics cards.
That is true.
But a lot of the things the people that are ascertaining, when I hear, oh, your stuff is stored in your DNA, kind of fucking sounds like that kind of thing too.
It does at times, yeah.
Like, they're like phrenology, what bumps on my head, the bumps on my head gonna, indicate that the.
Well, that's another thing. Like, if you think about it, like jump 100 years into the future, right? Yeah. Are they going to look at our medical system right now and be like, what a bunch of barbarians? They probably will.
That's the optimistic view.
Right.
I hope so. Not, hey, remember when we used to have antibiotics? That was cool.
I guess that this is my naivete or because I am a hardcore pessimist and cynical motherfucker, but I really, really hope that that's the case. Because if you look, we look back 100 years, she has hysteria.
Yeah.
Put her in the fucking loony bin. Like, well, how the fuck did they get away with that? And that shit happened. Shit wasn't even 100 years ago.
It wasn't even.
I think it was still happening in the 50s, right?
They were still doing lobotomies in the 70s.
Yeah, that's shit's
fucked
insane.
Up. They're just stirring your brains.
Like, what the fuck? Whoever thought it was a good idea to cut a piece of your frontal lobe out?
Some asshole white man, just like everything else.
Definitely. Fucking
If there's any race to wipe out, good God.
Yep. I never understood.
What the fuck is wrong with you people? You're violent.
For real. And I think that, to me, I look at it and I'm like, every culture, every race, there's violence in there. It's part of human nature. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think white people have perfected it to a level that, and this is coming from someone who's half white, but it's just like, almost on one hand, you want to be like, congratulations on being that good at something, but what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Why did you do that?
They even do it to each other.
Yeah, they do it to each other. And I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Look, every time Russia stirs up, like 100 million people die.
I tell you what, I'm about like, I just, to me, it doesn't make sense. And like, it seems to be, and I get like I'll talk with people like white Americans, you know, and I don't care. I'll say it all the time. Like, Americans are the worst because they are. Uh-huh. They're the greediest pigs. They're the most violent, fucking uncaring motherfuckers on the planet. I'm going to earn a lot of fans on this one now, but I mean, but it's true.
Please like and subscribe.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the thing is like, you know, I think it comes across to a lot. It's what society are you in? What kind of culture did you build? And Americans really were founded on complete fucking brutality.
Oh, yeah.
And you can't tell me that doesn't get passed on. Mm-hmm. It does. Mm-hmm. You know, like this whole thing with people getting, and of course, it was mostly Karens and Kens who were fucking CRT. Wait a minute. First of all, you don't understand what CRT is. Mm-hmm. I don't understand fully what CRT is. It's a fucking graduate level, you know, course of study. Mm-hmm. But that's not being taught to kids. They're teaching them history.
Right.
What actually happened.
Yeah.
And you have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? It makes no sense.
Because when you tell us what actually happened, we look like monsters.
Exactly. And
we look like horrendous monsters. We stole people from all over the fucking world.
Yep.
We stole everything we own. We took advantage of people who just went through a giant plague.
Yeah.
We forced religions on people over and over and over again. Fuck, we did it to ourselves too. We did it to the Irish, to the fucking Spanish.
They sure did. The Italians when they came over.
Yeah.
I mean, every time you get into that sort of thing, like, I just, like, for me, it's more about, let's just have a frank discussion. Uh-huh. Let's do it. Yeah. You know, go ahead, point out my flaws. I don't care. Like, is it sometimes going to hurt my feelings? Maybe. But I can handle that.
Yeah.
You know, but all these fucking people, like, there's so many people who are snowflakes. They can't just deal with, like, I'm not projecting this onto you, but this is what happened.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's your fault.
Right.
But you certainly benefited from it happening. Mm-hmm. You know, you did. Mm-hmm. There's just no way around that. Mm-hmm. There's a cognitive dissonance there that's
a good word.
Willing.
I think we'll do the next episode on cognitive dissonance and hypocrisy and point out our own.
Yeah.
Point out our own.
Oh, I can do that all day.
But like also, I find in our community, one of the challenges is they have to be walking around in a state of cognitive dissonance all the time.
Yeah.
And at some point, everyone's just fucking insane.
Yeah.
You have to be.
There's no, how, like me, I'll be the first I'll call myself out. I will, because I'm full of shit sometimes. Mm-hmm. I have no problem owning it. I think that a lot of people have a problem with humility. Mm-hmm. And being able to own their own shit. Mm-hmm. But even me, I have to walk around sometimes with active cognitive dissonance going on in order to be able to justify the way that I think about things, you know. But when I get it pointed out to me, I actually appreciate that, because how else do you fix it?
Right. Right. And so, I think that would be a good place to stop too. And we'll figure out some more ones, more topics. Yeah.